This is a message to all my supporters of this podcast. I'm introducing a new supporters program. You can contribute a small amount as a one-off payment to show your love for this podcast. Thank you in advance for all your contributions. Hi, this is Mark Hayward from the Absolute Business Mindset podcast from YouTube channel. So this week is Mental Health Week Awareness, and I thought it was important for me to comment and talk about this because it's an incredibly important factor on lots of people's lives, whether people are dealing with depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, and many other types of disorders. They are affecting so many people in this country and in this world. I was recently reading an article about Craig Bellamy, who's an ex Wales and various other clubs footballer, and he was talking about his manic depression, so which we now know as bipolar, and talking about how he hated his job, he hated working, he hated training, hated at certain pace playing, which I think is incredibly sad. So someone who was incredibly passionate about something, you've got to be passionate to be a footballer or a sports person about your sport, and he hated it for long periods because he was so he was suffering from this disorder. I think what I'm trying to say here is that we should all try and think about it and be inspired by the stories that we hear. We've heard obviously from people like Stephen Fry, who've talked extensively about his bipolar and his medication and sticking on medication and not being on medication. But I think it opens up this stories because we need to be able to understand what people are going through. And they can be severe conditions, as I said, about things like schizophrenia or bipolar, or things that are debilitating for people. Also things like anxiety and depression. So I think when you're reading these stories and looking and watching programs about mental health this week, just think about reaching out to people. I think there's a general feeling that we are going to hit a big problem of mental health in the pandemic. People are being isolated from family and friends, and they are going to be affected. Some people have good days and bad days. I must admit, earlier today I was having a really bad day. I just had problems motivating myself and really getting down to it, and actually a couple of calls that I had with people really inspired me and brought me back to being productive and efficient. So I think everyone has good and bad days, but if people that you know that you suspect are suffering, then please do reach out to them. Just having a space to be able to share their feelings, their thoughts, the way they're feeling about themselves and their jobs and their life. So please do think of people that might be suffering. I also read an article that they think that children at school, sort of late primary school and early secondary school, might suffer with mental health problems because they've been isolated from their group of friends for such a long time. Now obviously there are Zoom calls and WhatsApp calls and video conferencing on any different medium for people to be able to share, but I think this is something that's affecting everybody. It doesn't just affect rich people, poor people, old people, young people, men or women. It affects any ethnicity. It affects all of us. So I'm going to repeat again, I think we should be looking for people's signs that they're feeling a bit down, a bit low, and try and lift them up. I also think that companies should be very sensitive to this, and they should be offering support and help for employees. So what I would say is the approach that you should take is the same. You should be supportive and open to listening to people that are going through tricky times. Not everyone gets labelled with a condition, but some people who are just feeling low at the moment, you should be trying to help them and support them and listen to them. So thank you very much for your support on the podcast. I really appreciate it, for downloading and subscribing. Thank you very much. Much love for everyone who has been doing that, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks a lot.